In 1984, the computer store Jest Micro decided they'd rather make computer games than sell computers. So Ian Stewart, Kevin Norburn, and Jeff Brown established Gremlin Graphics Software. They had some success early on with the highly rated Thing on a Spring for the Commodore 64, and Wanted Monty Mole for the ZX Spectrum. Though viewers at home may be more familiar with one of its sequels, Monty on the Run, especially if you played I Want to Be the Guy. In 1994, they were renamed to Gremlin Interactive and started focusing on 16-bit computers, with games like Zool and the Premier Manager series. They found enough success with the sports manager-style games that would end up being almost exclusively what they produce. In 1994, they were purchased by Infogrames and then closed in 2003. While Infogrames swelled in size through acquisitions, becoming Atari, Ian Stewart would found Zoo Digital Publishing, later Zooshi Games, and buy the rights to all of Gremlin's original properties. In 2010, this company would close, but yet again, Ian Stewart would found a new company, Urban Scan Limited, and purchase the original Gremlin IPs. Let's backtrack to 1992 and the original release of Zool for the Amiga. After the release of Switchblade 2, which, though was received positively, did get complaints of being too slow-paced and there being too few enemies. These issues were going to be addressed in a sequel, which eventually became Zool. Advertising for Zool was pushed pretty hard. There was even a product placement deal with Chupa Chups, a Spanish lollipop company. Zool was being set up as the Amiga's mascot, the counterpart to Mario and Sonic, and the game did well. It reviewed very positively and was ported to almost every system under the sun. The Atari, Genesis, Super Nintendo, DOS, even the Game Boy, and it got a sequel, Zool 2, in 1993. I played Zool as a kid on DOS, but never got very far. It didn't help the game was known to be difficult, with some reviewers not being able to clear World 2. Of the various ports, the Genesis and Super Nintendo ports are some of the better games, though they feature completely changed level design from the original. I played the DOS version, but that was mostly a downgrade from the original Amiga, with no music, no backgrounds, and flatter colors. If you want to play the game today, the best version is likely the 2021 Steam remake, Zool Redimensioned, which was made with love by Sumo Academy, with guidance by Ian Stewart. This wasn't the first attempt at bringing Zool back, though, as in 2005, Zooshi Games was approached by Data Design with the intent on making a 3D Zool. Apparently, Zooshi wasn't terribly impressed with the work, and the IP was pulled. Data Design would swap out the IP and release what they had as Ninja Bread Man for the PS2, which did not review well. You can tell what was released was intended to be the first world of Zool, Sweet World. Today we're going to be looking at the Amiga CD32 version, which is effectively an enhanced version of the original Amiga release with Redbook audio. It's probably the best version of the DOS version I played as a kid. I think one of the most memorable things about the game to me is actually in the instruction manual, where there was a short comic explaining the story through the eyes of an elder Zool, recalling the story to a couple younger Zoolings. Let me see, it was something like this. There I was on my way home after some heavy-duty ninja-ing, when I noticed a strange wobbling phenomena. I decided to investigate. Obviously, the code of the intergalactic ninjas compelled me to investigate. As I got closer, a strange power took over my ship, and before I knew it, I was being drawn into the strange vortex. My ship began to spin wildly, and I lost control. The next thing I remember is coming around in the strange land made up entirely of sweets. I tapped my computer to see if it could tell me where I was. Not too sure about this one. We appear to be in a land undocumented on any maps. I would estimate that, Zool, you have been brought to this land as a challenge. Before you can be returned to your own land, you must face 6 challenges in 6 worlds. In each, you must face many enemies and hazards. You must collect as many inanimate objects as you can find. Only when you've collected as many objects as required can you leave each world. Each is more difficult than the last, and if you fail to complete any, then you will never be returning to the nth dimension. Not only this, but there is a limited time for each world. Prove yourself, Zool. Prove yourself worthy of the title Intergalactic Ninja. Message ends. I would estimate that we are in an undiscovered land. Oh, by the way, the ship is heavily damaged and will explode in 7 seconds. Shutting down. I was stuck 6 worlds away from home, with 6 giant tasks ahead of me. There was nothing else to do except to get on with it. So that's the start of my story. Welcome to Zool! Ninja! Intergalactic Ninja from the nth dimension. Or something of the sort. So we're playing on the CD32 version, Amiga CD32 version, as I mentioned before, and boy was this a pain in the butt to get started. So apparently, I can press a button for options. Yep, here we are. So, I am going to be changing the difficulty down to easy, and the reason for this is it does not affect enemy placement or how much damage the enemies do or anything of the sort. All this affects is how many items you have to collect before you can finish the stage, which is effectively like collecting coins in Mario. Like, imagine if you were playing a Mario game and it said, nah, you have to collect 75 coins before you beat the stage. So this will lower that counter down so you don't have to collect as many, and it will give you more time to complete the stage. As far as I know, that's the only change, so I'm setting this down to easy. Something interesting that I see here is the inertia, which is like when you run and then you stop moving, how you kind of slide to a stop for a little bit. If you turn this off, when you stop moving, you just dead stop. We'll see if I end up turning this off later on. Continues. By default, 0. I'm bumping that up to 5 because you never know what we're getting ourselves into. And I think that should do it. That'll take us back to the title screen where you can press a button in order to get started. The intro music to this is interesting. It's very of the, I want to say, Atari Amiga age, where developers would just put these huge, almost ballads of music just right there on their title screen. A little reminiscent of Solstice, actually. It also reminds me of there's like, what's it called? Keygen music or something, which was a way for programmers to kind of flex their skills. So they make these like really elaborate musical tracks, like techno music tracks, and just put them whenever they make a keygen, which the keygens themselves were also ways for programmers to flex their abilities. And I almost feel like that moved over into this era of games when they had these huge music tracks just right there on the title screen. As that kind of like, let's just let our musician flex for a minute. So anyway, with that said, let's Go ahead and start up. Prepare thyself! All those happy smile faces in the background. Because we do have limited continues, I am going to be using save states periodically. I'm going to try to put one down at the start of every stage. The prepare yourself is actually a loading screen. You can't do anything, but once it says area 1-1, you can just press a button to go ahead. And then we start out. So here's Zool. You can run, you can jump, you can shoot. Okay, you gotta mash the button, but you can shoot a lot. Yeah, there's the Chupa Chups. So Chupa Chups, I mentioned before, is a Spanish lollipop company. So you can kill enemies by either shooting them or by jumping on them. To mash that, let's see here, jump button. I don't think there's a run. Oh, that's power up. Grab that and you get a double Zool. This is a checkpoint. You have to get near and actually, like, physically punch it. You can't just shoot it. Once it turns red, you got your save point. And there's bees! You are very, very likely to take damage in this game, but it's almost like every other enemy that you kill drops a heart. That's the very tiny little hearts that you see floating up, which, so I mentioned Ninja Bread Man before. And those hearts are in there too, like obviously a leftover from the Zool time. So I mentioned the all these little pieces of cake and things. These are what you have to collect in order before you're allowed to beat the stage. On easy, you can see a percentage up there in the kind of just the left of the center health bar, which is the 3 bars up top. So let's talk a second about the HUD. So, SC and then a number, that's obviously your score. Percent 77, that is the percentage that you need in order to get to the collectible items you need to collect before you can proceed to the next level. However, this number is different for each difficulty. On easy, you only need 25% before you can progress to the next level. That bomb is a screen clear, not that there were any enemies on the screen in order to clear. The 3 bars in the middle are your health. You actually, 0 bars is a hit, so it does take 4 hits to kill you. The arrow, just to the right of that, is actually the direction of the goal. So you always know, yeah, the end of the stage, that way. The T1, I'm actually not entirely sure what is. Oh, no, that's time. TI and then time. So that's time limit before you have before you run out of time and lose. And then the LI is lives, 5 lives. I think 0 is also a life. So if you attack in the air, you do this, like, spin so you can hit enemies. You auto-jump, but not auto-shoot, which I think is kind of interesting. That's a jump power-up. I don't know how to use it. Sometimes you can jump on enemies, and sometimes you can't. The auto-jump also means you, like, climb up walls super fast. Which I know is going to get me killed. The game also does have the Mega Man respawning enemies. They will respawn as soon as they get off the edge of the screen. And you can get into some bad spots. You can get into some bad spots with that, where an enemy is just on the edge of the screen and just keeps respawning into you. It's not as bad as it could be. So we're on 1-2. There are, despite the fact that the game advertised 6 worlds, there are actually 7, and I think there are 4 stages per world. Yep, saw that coming. I'm out. Use my iframes. So I'm sliding on these. You just go whoosh, and then fall into pits. And then I get hit by them. and then die before I hit the checkpoint. I was really hoping one of those, like, 100 guys was going to give me a thing of health. For the most part, you are going to get hit a lot, but most enemies drop health in some form. Like, it's like friggin' 50% or something. So you're kind of constantly juggling around how much health you have. And none of them. So I was down to 0. I got 2 health back. I was kind of hoping I could respawn an enemy there. There we go. Hit that checkpoint. Dang it. I want health, but I also want all of you to leave me alone. So there's only a couple different enemy types in the first world here. There's the bees you can see, which also made a return in Ninja Bread Man. There are also 2 different types of jellies. The orange ones move pretty slowly back and forth. The green ones actually home in on you. There's the bees, and then there's the donuts that spit. The orange slimes will walk off edges, but the green ones will not. If you want to go for score, there are a lot of pickups just kind of around. Okay, I did hit that. It's red. I don't know if I can get back up. I mean, maybe if I really want to, but I don't know how much I really want to. Rude. Got a Z that I don't know what does. Don't really want to know what's down that pit. Probably spikes. Oh my goodness. You just they force you to jump down a pit. Oh no. Okay, got the checkpoint. Give me that health. And your little arrow spins when the goal is actually on the screen with you. I kind of just wanted health, but whatever, be that way. You get full health on the next stage anyway. No, you don't. Not that easy. We just started, so I don't even need the health. Looking at the logo, I always thought Chupa Chups was a cookie brand. I did not expect it to be a lollipop brand. Apparently, the logo for Chupa Chups was designed by Salvador Dali. Get that double ninja. There's just crap everywhere, man. Like, I think one reason I was a little bit hesitant to play this version is I think the background makes it so busy that it's oftentimes difficult to... Okay, that's an invincibility, I guess. That would have been helpful to know. Ah, there it is. That's one of the big boys. Like, the background just makes it so busy that it's oftentimes hard to tell, like, you lose yourself And the enemies and the projectiles. The little Z's are just points. I was thinking they were a power-up, too. I think one of the few power-ups that I just recognize as a power-up is this, split Z. Everything else just kind of looks like the candy you see everywhere. Do I want to go up there? What if I just keep going this way? Just see things exploding off screen. Like, you just keep shooting, man. If there's a guy in front of you, he'll go away. Made it. Okay, well, so 1-4. This should be the final stage of Area 1. I think the first world being a candy level actually works with the Chupa Chups thing. Like, it's candy, so get that candy. Candy branding. After the first world, I think there's another world that you see the Chupa Chups logo. But it's not right away. Like, they don't just put it around for the sake of putting it around. What am I hitting these for? Okay, hit them all. I see split power up there. I don't think I can reach that. Yeah. Enough to grab the power up anyway, even if I can't stand on the platform. So the split power up works just like Ninja Gaiden. Jump power up, not that I know how to use it. Oh, you just heckin' jump higher, that's it. Easy. I like it when all the enemies are on the ground. I can just run forward, shoot a lot. There's the boss! It's a bee! I'm not really sure how to deal with you when you charge me like that. But we killed him, so that's all that matters. That boss music is super some, like... Yeah, this is some, like, super old Atari title screen kind of music. Yeah. How are you just striking that pose, but you can still make expressions with your face? What's going on? I think that's a smiley face in the background. Hard to tell. I can't focus my eyes on it. 2-1! We did it! We beat World 1, and we've made it to World 2, the music world. Until next time, everyone, when we continue on into Zool.